And with that, I'll turn it over to Senator Murray.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you to everyone, all of our participants who are on with us today. All of you are doing really critical work on local projects in Southwest Washington, from Vancouver all the way to Klickitat, to make life better for people in our state. So I'm really excited today to talk to you about what I've been doing at the federal level to support all of you in these efforts. I am home in Washington State nearly every weekend, and I talk to folks from every community in every part of our state, and my staff does the same. And I'm a lifetime resident of Washington State as well. So you can believe me when I say I know my state better than any bureaucrat in Washington, D.C. I talk to families, they share with me what they want to see happen in their communities to make life better for them and their kids. And I take those stories and what you all need back to me, to the other Washington, and then fight for what people in Vancouver or Klickitat need in their communities. And one really important way that I'm able to deliver for people back in Washington State is through what we call congressionally directed spending, which sends federal dollars directly to community projects right in Southwest Washington. As a senior member of the Senate Appropriations Committee, this is a big priority for me. And this year, Congress passed a bipartisan spending package where I was able to get a lot of important federal funding for local projects in Washington State. And I'm really thrilled to announce that I was able to secure more than $116 million in congressionally directed spending. Those funds are going to make a big difference for community projects in Southwest Washington. For families in Vancouver, I was able to get $2.5 million in federal dollars for the Southeast First Corridor. And that means that commuters are going to have safer roads, less congestion, separate sidewalks for pedestrians, and set up a cycle track for cyclists, which is really important to me because we need our roads to be safe for everyone. I was able to get $1.5 million for the Summer Works Youth Employment Program to help our young people find more opportunities to prepare them for success in the workforce. Ask any young person about some of the challenges they've had trying to find employment or post-secondary education in this economy. So this program is really critical in connecting our youth to summer job opportunities, and its expansion, which I'm very excited to hear about, is going to be a really big deal for people in Vancouver. Over in Longview, I was able to get $1.5 million to advance the expansion of the Port of Longview's industrial rail corridor. That money is going to build actually on the $16 million the port got thanks to a RAISE program just last year. That's a federal program, the RAISE program I started back in 2009. So it's really great to see that work continue for Washington State communities in a very big way. So all of that funding means goods flowing more quickly in and out of the Port of Longview, bolstering our supply chain, boosting the local economy, creating new jobs. And at the end of the day, this will help parents at the grocery store and the grocery store owners themselves who want to see stocked shelves and lower prices. I also managed to secure nearly $400,000 for the Cascade AIDS project to expand services that will deliver critical support to patients with HIV through Southwest Washington. And I will tell you, as chair of the Senate Health Committee, it is really important to me that we do everything in our power to help everyone get the care they need. And finally, I was able to secure $2.5 million to modernize the central utility plant at Klickitat Valley Health in Goldendale. It is really important to me that patients in our rural communities are getting care that is just as good as what healthcare providers are able to offer in Vancouver. So as a voice for families in Washington State, I know how far that money will go and the difference that it's going to make in so many lives. My job, my focus is to make sure that the priorities of our communities in Southwest Washington and anywhere else in our state are the federal government's priority. So that's what I'm fighting for every time I talk with my colleagues about these appropriations bills. And I'm delighted to have some folks on today who can talk about what this will mean for their communities. So let me turn it over to Dan to begin with. I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you. Dan?
Thank you, Senator. First, I want to thank you for your support of the Port of Longview. and the expansion of our industrial rail corridor. We've been working on this for a long time, and your help in securing the congressionally directed spending is really a huge boost for us. The investment in the project will help us keep our momentum despite the headwinds that we feel due to inflation that we're all experiencing. The port is lucky to have such strong advocates on our congressional delegation. We're hoping that you'll be able to come out and see the project live someday. We'd love to have you come out. And I'd also like to thank you for your encouragement of the practice of this congressionally directed spending. For smaller communities, it's a heavy lift for us to do these federal grants. They are resource intensive, and oftentimes we are not successful. We really would appreciate those federal investment decisions to be left with our congressional delegation, that you know us and you know what we need. And we'd rather have that discretion with you than with the folks in the other Washington and the larger bureaucracy. So thank you for your work. As we've shared with you and your team, the IRCE, as we call it, will enable us to keep the customers we've got, and those are your best ones, right? We've got those already, and we're also looking to grow additional customers, and we're hopefully, with this expansion of the rail corridor, we'll be able to develop our Berth 4 facility, which is currently empty, providing living wage jobs to our community and the trade flow that you highlighted in your earlier comments. This congressionally directed spending, in addition to the RAISE grant that you mentioned, is a $18.5 million federal investment in this facility. And we just so appreciate your leadership in helping to direct these funds to a project that we think is so worthwhile. And this is important in part because of the inflation pressures that we feel. Our project budget has grown from $53.5 million to almost 70, so almost a 30% increase. This spending investment on the federal government will help us accelerate our schedule and keep the momentum we've got. So once again, we thank you, Senator, for your leadership, and we appreciate your investment here in Southwest Washington so much. And with that, I will turn it over to Miriam Halliday. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. So exciting to be here. Senator Murray, you are my workforce hero. So just wanted to give you that shout out. Thank you for, really understanding the needs of workforce in the state of Washington and advocating for us year after year after year. We really, really appreciate it, and we need it in our community. As we all know, the pandemic has exacerbated already existing workforce challenges across the country and also here in Southwest Washington. One historic challenge has been and continues to be ensuring that young adults have access to paid work opportunities and consistently and constantly. And over the summer months, particularly because of the time that's available for the young adults and also their families to navigate that. This investment will build on and support our already existing quality education system to create work opportunities for young adults in our community. And it will support specifically over 100 internships that are at 100 hours in duration, along with a 40-hour work readiness course focused in on soft skill development that we hear often are in need from our private sector partners across the community. This will be the third year of our program, so very exciting that we're able to expand this upcoming summer, and we'll be able to serve our community in a way that we never have prior. So another just fantastic opportunity for families in our region and also our business community. Research shows that summer employment leads to higher graduation rates, better job opportunities down the road, higher earnings later in life. For the business community, it provides a varied perspective on the world of work, the future of work. It also provides them with an awareness and understanding of their company and industry that is difficult to achieve outside of that work-based learning. So we're very, very excited. We look forward to the summer ahead, and we deeply, deeply appreciate your support, Senator, over the years and into the future. We couldn't do it without you, so thank you. With that, I'll pass it over to Jonathan.
Thank you, Senator Murray. Thank you so much for this opportunity and this appropriation that you're sending our way. I'm the Director of Support Services at Klickitat Valley Health, a small little hospital in Goldendale, Washington. As you can imagine, the last couple of years have been pretty rough in rural healthcare. We went from basically having 7-bed hospital to being able to surge to 43 beds if we needed to. and all of our staff really stepped up in amazing ways throughout the pandemic. And getting this little boost of the appropriation really means a lot to us. Our hospital was the first Hill-Burton Act hospital built in Washington State back in 1949. So kind of paved the way for that public and rural collaboration. And small towns throughout the country are really struggling in a lot of ways. And the hospitals in those small towns are the anchor of our communities. They provide, oftentimes the Klickitat Valley Health is the largest employer in town. So they provide that stability. And then also just the impact on people who are having a hard time accessing healthcare and other things that the hospital can really do. But the infrastructure is aging. It was here, been here for a long time. We have generators that we bought from World War II surplus that are still serving the needs of our central utility plant. So this appropriation is part of about a $10 million project to replace those generators, boilers, other energy efficiency. So we'll add this to $3 million that we received from our state legislature in an appropriations, and another $500,000 energy efficiency project, and another $500,000 private grant that we received. So we're getting much, much closer to pulling the whole project off, and really hoping you can come visit. Thanks again. And I will hand it over to Jasmine.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. Yeah, thank you so much for having me here, and the invitation and the opportunity to share a little bit about the work that Cascade AIDS Project does. Thank you for your investment in this work and in the LGBTQ plus community throughout Southwest Washington. So I'm Jasmine Gruenstein. I'm the director of Cascade AIDS Project in Southwest Washington. We're also known as CAP. CAP is the oldest and largest AIDS service organization in Oregon and Southwest Washington. We've had a permanent office in Vancouver, Washington for only 5 years. We've been serving the HIV positive community for over 35 years at this point, but we've been in Vancouver for just 5. And in that short amount of time, we have grown to a staff of 21. We serve over 500 clients engaged in HIV care and prevention services. So yeah, a little bit about how we envision this expansion with this incredible funding. As you all know, there's a substantial body of research that demonstrates that LGBTQ plus people are disproportionately affected by health issues. In Washington State specifically, LGBTQ plus residents have significantly higher rates of poor general health than their straight and cisgender counterparts. This includes behavioral health disparities. In a recent UW survey of the LGBTQ plus community, more than half of those respondents said that they experienced anxiety and depression and suicidal ideation. And 76% of adult respondents reported delaying needed healthcare, with 44% saying that they feel there is no LGBTQ plus friendly healthcare in their area. And I can definitely say that that is true, unfortunately. So over 50% of those respondents identified mental health services as most needed, something that they needed the most. In response to this need and this really exciting new funding, our vision is to expand CAP services to include culturally specific behavioral health services for the LGBTQ plus community for the first time in Vancouver. And that's regardless of HIV status. So they don't need to be living with HIV. It's anyone from the LGBTQ plus community. We're going to hire and credential and train up to 3 behavioral healthcare providers and 3 admin staff, and implement this program with the goal of serving at least 90 unduplicated patients by the end of year 1. I can tell you firsthand that I've worked in Vancouver for a decade at this point, and it's very true that for folks that are queer identified, it's really hard to be their true whole selves, to be out with their friends and family, and to find resources that are specific for their communities. So I'm so excited for this new program to start, and so we can actually have that for the first time. So thank you so much, Senator, for that opportunity. We're really excited to see where it takes us and how we can serve this community. And I'm going to pass it over to the mayor.
Thank you, Jasmine. And we're so excited for your project too. But Hello, I'm McEnerny-Ogle, Mayor for the City of Vancouver. And Senator, you can see all the great work your funds are contributing to. You've been out on this little project, so you know what your $2.5 million was going for. But for the rest of you, this was work that we started about a dozen years ago. This is an old country road, kind of one of those 2-lane farm to market roads that has gravel on the sides and a lot of blackberry bushes. And we're trying to convert it into a modern 3-lane facility with separate bike and pedestrian lanes, LED street lights, low impact development, stormwater facilities and such. We call it FIRST because it's Southeast First. And we need to drop it about 30 feet because on either side of it are the old quarries. This is the last of those big areas where everyone dug up the gravel for other projects. We're going to drop it down about 30 feet so that the grades and the site plans kind of line up. On the south side, we have Columbia Tech Center, a 410-acre mixed-use development. On the north side, we have what we call Section 30, 446 acres. Oh my gosh, it's the future research and development campus for Hewlett-Packard. We're so excited for it. But it's also addressing a major safety issue. In the last 6 years of a record that we have been working on, we've had an 8% higher crash rate than statewide averages. We've had nearly 100 recorded crashes along this corridor with nearly 50 major injuries. So the completion of this project will reduce that crash rate about 20%. But in addition, Senator, you know, we never do anything halfway. So this advances our climate action plan and helps us with our carbon neutrality goals. We'll be creating a transportation facility designed to reduce congestion. That's obvious. We'll improve all of those opportunities for non-motorized travel. We'll be adding trees and walkways, and it'll just be an incredible opportunity. But we're creating that mobility desert to remove that desert, if you would, from our equity focus areas to these 2 incredibly wonderful new employment and retail centers. We, as you know, have the Mill Plain Bus Rapid Transit line right there. So bring your tennis shoes. We'll be putting a shovel in the dirt and we'd love to have you kick it off and make it happen. So Senator, again, thank you so much for making Southwest Washington a wonderful place for businesses and residents as a whole. And I'll send it back to you.
Great. Well, I loved all of that, all of your input and your great projects. And I'm proud to be a partner with every single one of you and seeing your communities use federal dollars in ways that work for your community. So this is just really great to hear. So with that, let me turn it back over. Amir, do we have any questions from any